Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're gonna talk about North Macedonia. North Macedonia, one of the countries with the most hospitable people in the world. We're gonna talk about how to move to North Macedonia for EU citizens and also non-EU citizens. Macedonia is currently not an EU member, but there are some differences here. Let's check the topics we're going to cover in this video. We're gonna first talk about the situation of Macedonia geographically and also its relation with the European Union. Then we're gonna cover residence permits in Macedonia, the most general types, followed by getting a residence permit in Macedonia by opening a company, then getting a residence permit by buying property in Macedonia. Then we're going to talk about the citizenship by investment program in Macedonia, which is starting this year. Finally, moving to permanent residence in North Macedonia and also citizenship by naturalization. After all that, we're going to discuss a little bit the advantages and disadvantages of living in North Macedonia. And before we start, the usual talk: if you want to travel, move or invest abroad, hit the like button, check our other videos, book a consultation call with me, the link is in the description. It will be a pleasure for me to help you planning your immigration strategy. And the most important thing of them all, subscribe! Let's start! North Macedonia is a country in Southern Europe. It borders a number of EU members, such as Greece and Bulgaria, and other countries in the region such as Serbia and Albania. Despite its neighbors and its location in Europe, North Macedonia is currently not part of the European Union, neither of the Schengen area, and it also doesn't use the euro as its currency. But on the other hand, North Macedonia is currently a candidate country to the European Union. After the country changed its name from Macedonia to North Macedonia, its chances to join the bloc have improved. There's a region in Greece called Macedonia, and Greece had a problem with North Macedonia being called Macedonia. Now, apparently, since it's called North Macedonia, Greece is more willing to accept North Macedonia in the European Union. Then there's also the situation with Bulgaria. Bulgaria and North Macedonia do not agree in some cultural aspects, let's put it this way. And for these reasons and some other reasons as well, I do not believe North Macedonia will join the European Union in the next 5 to 10 years at the very least. But considering that, EU citizens have some advantages in North Macedonia. They can enter the country with a national ID, for example, and there are some other advantages in terms of residence permits. We're gonna cover that soon. So, talking about how to move to North Macedonia, firstly we're gonna talk about the general types of residence permits in the country. The most common types of residence permits in North Macedonia are for employment, or if you have a family member in the country, or as well if you are a student, for example, and you're going to study full-time in Macedonia. We will focus on options if you are an independent businessman, an investor, or if you want to live a passive life and retire in North Macedonia. The first option, the easiest option in my opinion to move to North Macedonia, is by opening a company in the country. By owning your own company and running it actively, you will have grounds to live and get a residence permit in Macedonia. You don't have to hire anyone if you are not a citizen. Like in many EU countries, if you open a company, you can't just get a residence permit, you have to actually hire staff. But in North Macedonia, you will still be able to get a residence permit even if you are the only person in your company. There are also no minimum financial requirements. If you have enough capital to start your activity and pay taxes, that is enough to get your residence permit. Of course, if it becomes clear to the authorities you do not have funds to maintain your stay or the company, it will be complicated to get an approval for your residence permit. But if you have sufficient funds for the activity and to cover your costs, that will be enough for you to get a residence permit in Macedonia, in North Macedonia, sorry, it's not Macedonia, it's North Macedonia, through company formation. The second option here is getting a residence permit by buying property in North Macedonia. Buying property in North Macedonia is a great option, but it is not open to all citizens of the world. You can still buy property in the country, but not all types of citizens can actually get a residence permit if they purchase property in the country. If you buy a residential property with a value of at least 40,000 euros, you will be eligible to apply for a residence permit in the country. This option is a good one if you are a retired person and you receive a foreign pension and you want to live in Macedonia, or if you are a stock investor, for example, and you live off dividends, but also if you want to run a business based abroad and live in North Macedonia. It is important to say, as I said, that this is not an option for all citizens. This is only open to EU citizens and OECD country member citizens. The OECD countries include Australia, the US, the UK, Canada, Turkey, Japan, Chile, Switzerland, and some other countries, most of them in Europe, but some in Asia, some in Latin America. Now we're going to talk about getting permanent residency in North Macedonia and citizenship by naturalization. To acquire permanent residency in North Macedonia, you need to live in the country for 5 years. If your ultimate goal is to acquire North Macedonian citizenship, you will have to live at least 8 years in the country. North Macedonia is also launching this year a citizenship by investment program. The price of the program is roughly 250,000 euros, inclusive of fees, for one person. If you're applying as a family, the price decreases per person depending on the number of family members. So an estimate, for example, if you have a family of 4 people applying for the citizenship by investment program in North Macedonia, the price would be something between 300 and 350,000 euros for everyone in your family to get North Macedonian citizenship. Finally, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of living in North Macedonia. Firstly, let's cover the advantages. The first clear advantage is if you live in North Macedonia, you will be living in a good location in Europe. You can drive a few hours and you'll be in other European countries such as Albania, Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia, and if you drive a little bit further, you will reach countries like Croatia, Bosnia, and Montenegro, for example. Second very evident advantage is that it is relatively easy to acquire residency in North Macedonia, especially if you're coming from a visa-exempt country. So if you're coming from the US, from the UK, or from somewhere in the European Union, you can just come to North Macedonia, and do all the paperwork in the country. You don't have to apply through the embassy beforehand if you're coming from a country which is visa exempt. Then Macedonia is also a pretty safe country. There were some tensions in Macedonia between the different ethnic groups in the country, but as an ordinary citizen, it is pretty safe to walk around in Macedonia in the evening by foot in most areas in Skopje or in Ohrid. Then next advantage is North Macedonia has low taxes. Personal income is taxed at a 10% rate in the best scenario, and in some other cases from 15 to 18%. 18% is the maximum personal income tax rate in the country currently. Corporate income taxes in North Macedonia are equally low at a 10% rate, but in some cases, depending on the size of the company and also on its activity, the rate can be of just 1%. So all in all, good location, easy to get residence permit, safe country, low taxes. Now let's analyze what I consider as disadvantages in North Macedonia. This is a personal opinion, it might be different to your experience in the country. The first disadvantage is the weather. In North Macedonia, summers tend to be extremely hot, especially in Skopje. In Ohrid, they are milder since the lake has a high altitude. And also during winters, there's a problem with pollution, especially in Skopje. Second disadvantage, despite its good location, the transportation links in North Macedonia are quite poor in my opinion. The railway network is not well connected to the rest of the railway network in the rest of Europe. To many cities you actually have to get a bus or drive, and there are also not that many flights to the country's main airport, which is in Skopje. So in many occasions people from North Macedonia end up going to Bulgaria, to Sofia, Bulgaria, or to Belgrade in Serbia, or to Thessaloniki in Greece if they want to fly somewhere and there are no available flights in Skopje. The third disadvantage is that it has a low income. So if you're coming to Macedonia to look for a job, I highly advise against it, but this can also be an advantage because if you are bringing your company from abroad or if you want to do an investment, your overhead in Macedonia, if you need to hire staff, since wages in North Macedonia are very low, you can actually hire a good team for a very low monthly cost in the operation of your business. So that's it for today's video. If you want to move to North Macedonia, write me a comment below, click on the links in the description. It will be a pleasure for me to help you planning your strategy to move to North Macedonia or to other countries in the region. And as always, if you want to travel, move or invest abroad, hit the like button, check our other videos, and most importantly, subscribe. See you next time.